Hello, hello, Steve Fletcher here, and welcome to the first ever vinyl month for me. This is a brand new vlog that I've decided to do. It's my sort of obsession with vinyl records is kind of well documented amongst those who know me, and I've kind of I do go on about it quite a lot on my Facebook page. So I thought it's high time that I sort of did a little bit of a video log about it, and I thought, how am I going to do it? How am I going to approach it? I thought the best thing I could go on and on about my vinyl collection and all that kind of stuff, but or I could try and sort of streamline it to different artists and things like that. But what I sort of got the most excited about was what I'm going to do, which is just to sort of go through the month that we've just had. In this case, it's January 2023, and go through two things. One, the purchases that I've made, why I've made them. And number two, I thought, like the BBC TV show QI, which I love, goes through its series in order, I thought I would pick a random vinyl out of my record collection alphabetically as the months go by. So, welcome to A. So the first thing I'm going to do is put Rudiger down. I know it looks like he's stood on the wall there, but please don't worry, guitar aficionados, he is on a stand. Now, why do I love vinyl so much? A multitude of different reasons why I love vinyl. I love pretty much everything about it, actually. I love the size of it. The artwork is humongous, and it's there to be loved as it was always supposed to be. The size of it means you can have, on gatefold vinyls, you can have all those lyrics properly printed as they were meant to be seen. I love about vinyl is that it's a limited amount of space that an artist can put music on there. I mean, you're looking at probably no more than 45 minutes for the entire album. Well, what that means is you're going to get a lot of editing of, not editing of tracks, I don't mean cutting verses and choruses out. I mean editing the wheat from the chaff, basically. So sort of editing out the crap songs, or the songs that would be sort of album tracks, and you're left with pretty much what is very, very good, if not fantastic. This has kind of been lost a little bit in the sort of post-CD and download streaming era. Artists can just record 27 tracks, stick them all out and say, yeah, here's my album, when there is probably actually only 10 to 12 very good tracks on there, and the rest is quite a lot of filler. The thing I love the most about vinyl is you have to physically interact with it. It is a thing with which you have to do something. And I don't just mean, although this is one of the things I love, I don't just mean putting it on and sticking the needle on. I mean you have to stand in front of it and go, what am I in the mood to listen to? Which you do not get very much with downloading and streaming. You know what I mean, when you put a shuffle on your streaming, it's just there, it's in the background. You go, oh, I don't want to listen to that one, skip. I don't want to listen to this one, skip. I don't like this one, skip. And you're not listening properly to the music. Whereas with vinyl, you actually have to access your brain and go, because you have to get up off your arse and physically put the record on, you do have to sort of think to yourself, what do I want to listen to? And therefore you make the musical choice that is right for your present state of mind. And I love that more than anything else about vinyl. I love the fact that it is actually there. The music is on the disc. You know, if you put your record on, if you put the needle on the record and turn all your speakers off, you can still hear the music coming off the needle because it is right there in the groove. And I love that. That and numerous other things, which I've probably forgotten, are the reason why I love vinyl so much. And if you take care of it, yes, it does sound just as good as any other way of listening to music. Here is this month's stack, which we're going to go through. I want to just give shout outs to the wonderful shops that sold these vinyls to me. I do, wherever possible, go to lovely independent vinyl shops. This month we spent a lot of time in, and I probably will in subsequent months as well, I spent a lot of time in Tall Bird Records and Vanishing Point Records in Chesterfield. I also spent a lot of time going around the region for AA record fairs, which do a lot around my neck of the woods. I also found myself in Nottingham earlier this month, and I managed to pick up something from Big Apple Records in Nottingham as well. Some I'm going to go, yeah, this is what I bought and it's all right, and put them down. Others I'm going to sort of give you a little bit of waxing lyrical about. So the first one is this. This is a real weird curiosity, and I'm not going to go too much about it, and I probably won't play it very much. This is Not the 9 O'Clock News is a sort of comedic satire program that was on TV back in the day. Features the great Rowan Atkinson, Griff Rhys-Jones, Mel Smith, Pamela Stevenson, doing all kinds of funny, silly sketches and stuff. I saw this in a charity shop in Crystal Peaks in Sheffield for the princely sum of £2, which I probably overpaid for, but I don't mind. It's just I just bought it for a giggle. There it is. This one was a really interesting one for me. I did have this many years ago, and it seems to have disappeared from my collection. This is new. This is the single of Pink Floyd's. It says Pink Floyd. All it says on the cover is Pink Floyd The Wall, music from the film. What it actually is the single When the Tigers Broke Free, backed with Bring the Boys Back Home. Now, the thing that I love the song When the Tigers Broke Free. I think it's missing from The Wall. I always thought it should be the first track on The Wall, actually, because it is that first wall, that first brick, that first chip on Roger's shoulder that sort of gave us The Wall, is the loss of his father. So I always thought it should be first on the record. It's not on the record. It is actually, and this is where it's a curious little thing. This CD, this single, it says taken from the album The Final Cut. And it kind of is and it kind of isn't. When it was released, this single was released in 1982. And at that point, it was still planned that the follow-up album to The Wall would be this Spare Bricks project, which is going to be songs that weren't included on The Wall, of which When the Tigers Broke Free was one of them. Now, as it happens, so that's where they get this idea, advertising that this was taken from the album The Final Cut. As it happens, in the end, when The Final Cut was finally released in 1983, this wasn't on it. Because by then, Roger had changed his mind on what that album was going to be and gone in a completely different direction. There are still some tracks on The Final Cut that didn't make it onto The Wall, but there's also some new stuff. It's a whole new concept. It is not biographically about Waters and his father and all that kind of stuff. It's about, the idea of government still sending the boys off to die in wars. And in that case, it was all about the Falklands conflict. To that end, this song, When the Tigers Broke Free, in my humble opinion, does not fit on The Final Cut. However, it was subsequently added to The Final Cut in later reissues, and I think to this date, when you go and buy a brand new copy of The Final Cut, you will have When the Tigers Broke Free on it, but it just doesn't sit right to me. It's a song that is biographically about one thing, which The Final Cut isn't about. So it's a strange one, but I do love the track, and I did sort of leap on the chance to rebuy the single, which I've already had once but couldn't find anymore. This is another great one. This is the single for Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. It's got the full-length version, which wasn't on the vinyl copy of Brothers in Arms. And it also has Love Over Gold live on it. But I saw this I think this was in Vanishing Point Records. I've never seen it before. It's in really good condition. And actually, we're going to get to something else in a little while. I think this now means that I've got every single that was released from Brothers in Arms, and I might do a separate little thing about that later on. This was a single which I bought from a record fair, from AA Record Fairs, and it is the single, Mark Knopfler single, Boom Like That. There's actually the big reason why I bought it is because it's one of my favourite solo Knopfler tracks. I love Knopfler's solo career. I'll have words with anybody who sort of goes, "Oh, Mark Knopfler should return to Dire Straits." I don't think that that's the case at all. I love where Mark Knopfler is at right now. And the thing that made me think, "Oh, this is interesting," was a couple of things actually. One is it was released in 2004, and that is right out of this where we are currently, this massive vinyl renaissance we're having at the moment. Is, we're having which I am overjoyed about, is that we can suddenly buy vinyl again, which I love. So this was a vinyl single released at a time when no one was buying vinyl except for me and a few other geeky people. So that really drew me to it. Plus the fact that it is numbered as well, which I also really, really like. When I looked into this, I discovered that it's actually a mistake on the printing, which it says side B, Who's Your Baby Now, live at Massey Hall, Toronto. But on the actual vinyl, the side B says Summer of Love. So again, that's quite a curious thing for that, and I really, really like that. Okay, this was a new one that I bought. I couldn't resist buying this. It's probably always going to be the only Nirvana album that I absolutely love and adore and can listen to all the time. I do have to be in the mood for Nirvana. I did do a Nirvana and me vlog some time ago. Put a little link to those blogs up there in the corner, where I did do a selection of Nirvana tuition videos, of which The Man Who Sold the World from this album featured. I love this record. I do think it's their best. I think it's I just don't know what else to say about it other than I absolutely love it. I have a sort of love-hate relationship with Nirvana. I really I can appreciate what they did and why people kind of like them, but I don't need them around my house. That being said, this is the most sort of un-Nirvana-y Nirvana album that there is. Therefore, I really like it. So this was a curious one. It's not very clear what it is. This is the Genesis album, Then There Were Three. People divide the Genesis albums. People divide the Genesis band kind of into two eras. One, the Gabriel era, and two, the Collins era. And I don't really subscribe to that. I subscribe to the Hackett era and the non-Hackett era. Genesis, that people know them now. As soon as you say Genesis to people down on the street, they think of, Invisible Touch and stuff like that. And to me, that is just ... As far as I'm concerned, Genesis were this incredible band who did some brilliant music, had amazing musicianship, wrote fantastic progressive music. For me, progressive music is not a dirty word. I love my prog. I think it's brilliant. I think it deserves more of a recognition than it gets in the wider public, but that's enough of that rant. This is a curious one to buy for me because it doesn't feature Steve Hackett. It's the first album that they did following Steve Hackett's departure, and Then There Were Three. It does feature quite a big shift away from their progressive roots, in that the songs that are on it are all sort of 3-4 minutes long. So they were kind of getting to that more accessible style of playing. However, it does still have quite a few progressive leanings. So it wasn't like Hackett left the band and all of a sudden they turned into a vanilla pop Radio 2 light pop band, because they didn't. It's got some really good stuff on it. And in particular, the thing that I love most on this one is things like Snowbound and Undertow. So it does have some stuff on there that I really have got time for. It's got some stuff on there that does show the direction that they were going to take. Things like Follow Me, Follow You, which is just no as far as I'm concerned. But there you go. I'm glad I found it. All right, this is Men at Work. This is the Business as Usual album by Men at Work. I found this one on my little trip to Nottingham. So like all people on this earth who can breathe in and out, I've heard Down Under by Men at Work and sort of assumed that that was it for them, as a sort of a one-hit wonder band. I'm wrong. It's not the case. I got into Colin Hay, the guitarist and vocalist for Men at Work, YouTube threw up a video of him performing Down Under solo acoustically. And I was like, whoa, that is a really, really, really good version of that song. I wonder what else Mr. Hay has done. So started looking into his solo stuff. And then I think it was Amazon Prime did a documentary about Colin Hay, which if you can watch is really worth having a look at, in which there was lots of Men at Work material featured as well. And it was very much like, oh, I didn't know that was Men at Work. Oh, that song's Men at Work as well. Oh, that's... So Men at Work were kind of hiding in plain sight. And but it's just, Down Under obviously cast a huge shadow over their career. So that's where I got this from. I bought this in Nottingham, and that's why I bought it, because I'm really enjoying Men at Work. By the time I do the next Vinyl Corner vlog in February, I will have seen Colin Hay live in concert. Okay, I'm going to do these two together. I actually bought them on the same day. They're vintage albums, and they're a little bit tatty, but it's okay. I'm kind of not going to play them that much, but I might end up buying them new again at some point. As I said earlier on, I do love my prog, and this is Yes, and these are kind of the sort of two main classic Yes albums. Yes fans might correct me on that, but it's as far as I go, as far down the Yes rabbit hole that I dive so far, these are the two that always do it for me, which is Close to the Edge and Fragile. I've listened to Fragile a lot. It's got one of the all-time brilliant guitar bass riffs on it in Heart of the Sunrise. Absolutely fantastic tune. Long roundabout, long distance, all of it basically. The whole Fragile album is absolutely brilliant, and I can't recommend that enough to people. This, Close to the Edge, I had to listen to this because I bought, I think it was Prog Magazine a few months ago, and they did their countdown of like prog albums you must hear before you die. And I sort of thought, well, obviously Dark Side of the Moon is going to be number one, isn't it? And it wasn't. What was number one was Close to the Edge, which I'd never heard actually at that point. And I was very much like, why is it not Dark Side of the Moon? So I thought, right, I'm going to listen to this. So I did listen to it. And oh my sonny Jesus, is this a great progressive rock album. So I'm still not totally convinced that it should be in front of Dark Side of the Moon, but it is a jolly fine, damn good record. And I really, really enjoy it. Another two that I'm going to do together. This is a new one. This is a sort of new to me, but it's old one. Is Marillion came into my life some point last year. Amazon Music actually sent me an email, one of their many sort of robot AI emails saying, we think you'll like this. And it was Marillion live at the Royal Albert Hall. And it was on Blu-ray, which I'm an aficionado of Blu-ray. And it was something ridiculous, like £6.99. So that just ticked all my boxes, basically. It was progressive rock. It was live at the Royal Albert Hall, my favourite venue, my favourite UK venue. And it's a Blu-ray. So now, for £6, I'm going to buy that. So I bought it and watched it, and my jaw went dunk on the floor as, why have I never listened to Marillion before? So I sort of quickly did over the last sort of few months, I've been really looking into their back catalogue. More the Hogarth era than Fish. I mean, I hate dividing bands into eras anyway. Although I do it myself. I don't think you can help it, but I generally don't like to do it. And so this is the Brave album, which currently is one of my favourite Marillion albums from the Hogarth era. And in particular, this is the Stephen Wilson. This is the Stephen Wilson remix. Stephen Wilson is prog god as far as I'm concerned. He's a fantastic artist, and he does do a lot of these remixes. Kind of just gives all these great albums the production that they always deserved. But it is a brilliant album. I absolutely love it. So I couldn't resist buying that. And I also thought, if I'm going to get into Marillion, I better start trying to do, the Fish era. I'm in a lot of progressive rock groups on Facebook and stuff, and you do get a lot of people, you know, A being the Fish and Hogarth era of Marillion. And again, I'm always a bit like, but I thought I'd get into this. This is the debut Marillion album, which is Script for a Jester's Tear, which I do really, really like. I do find it a bit of a Genesis throwback, I have to be honest, as opposed to this, which I find interesting on its own right, whereas this is very much like, if you like Genesis, you'll like this. Gabriel Genesis, you'll like this. And that is very much the case. But I do still like it. It's still great. And yes, I was pleased to find this one. This was another one I found. And again, I bought this new. So I think that brings it 3 actual new albums that I've bought this month. And the rest were all just sort of £3-4 vintage ones. This is the Another World, Brian May's Another World album. I love Queen. I love Brian May. I don't do enough Queen and Brian May stuff on my channel. I have done We Will Rock You, I've done Hammer to Fall, I think that's it. And I would love to do some more. The problem with that is I don't think I can do it properly without having a red special, and I don't have a red special, which kind of, it's something I've always sort of said, I'm going to have to get on with that, getting on with a red special. Either building one or buying one to do some more Queen. But anyway, I prefer this to Brian May's debut album, Back to the Light. I think this has got some brilliant stuff on it. In particular, the one I always teach is Cyborg. And the reason I teach Cyborg is 2 things. 1, it's in drop D, and 2, it has a brilliant tapped riff, which when I'm teaching children how to tap, I go to Cyborg on this album. I'm really pleased you've not been able to get this on vinyl. I did see an original issue of this on vinyl for, I think it was £140, and made me think, God, I should have bought that at the time. But so this is the reissue. He did do a box set of this, and I am a sucker for a box set, but I couldn't justify it because basically it was just the album. It's like 3 times in 3 different formats on the box set for, £80. I thought, well, that's a bit stupid. But there it is. It's a great album. I really, really love it. I saw Brian May live at Sheffield City Hall when he was promoting this album. Brian, if you're watching, we still haven't got a decent live representation of this album, and I do believe the Royal Albert Hall show that you did was filmed and recorded, so maybe you could look at releasing that at some point while you're reissuing all your solo stuff. Alright, the final one of the ones that I have bought this month, I concede straight away that I've gone a bit crazy this month. January sales and sort of, I do suffer a little bit with SAD, seasonal affective disorder. I do get a bit blue in January, so I think a bit of retail therapy is what happened. But this was the final one that I bought, and I bought this again the same time that I bought Money for Nothing. And it's the So Far Away single, which again, I thought I just have to buy that. It was only a couple of quid. So in case you're wondering, the A side is So Far Away. The B side is Walk of Life. So there you go. I might do, because I do think I've got all the Brothers in Arms singles now. So I might do a little bit of a vlog about that at some point in the future. So that's it. Those are the albums that I have bought this month. I would love to hear your reactions to some of those, and I would also love to hear some of the albums that you have bought as well. I'm always up for listening to some other music and having a great discussion about vinyl. Just to close out, I'm going to do this sort of random pull from my archive, my vinyl archive, starting with A this month, and we're going to do ABBA, The Greatest Hits Volume 2. No, I don't have Volume 1, which is actually disgusting. For all my moaning, no, that's wrong, for all my proud shouting out about how wonderful progressive rock is, and it is, and how, I listen to, it's got some fantastic musicianship, it's songs in the key of Q, time signature changes all over the place, solos that last, songs that last for 25 minutes, guitar solos that last for longer than 4 bars, and all that kind of stuff. For all that, I'm very pleased that I have not gone to be too much of a musical snob, that I can't love and appreciate a good pop song, which ABBA, along with the Bee Gees, are one of the greatest writers of some of the best pop music ever. So the idea that I would have no ABBA in either my vinyl or CD collection just doesn't bear thinking about, basically. So if you do sort of dismiss ABBA as just a pop group, you're being a bit of a musical snob. Obviously, there is pop that is a bit really, but there is pop music that is brilliantly well written, structurally amazing, musically amazing, harmonically brilliant, has got some great musicianship on it, and ABBA are up there. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube page, and we'll see you next time, boys and girls. Thanks very much. Bye bye.